I was her emergency contact, listed as husband. Thank God she was all right, but she'd lost her memory. I had no choice but to take her home and settle her in the guest room. But that night, she actually said, "Husband, aren't we sleeping together?" I took Zuo Fei home. She was like a child, full of curiosity, yet so cautious. The moment we entered, I changed into slippers. She stood awkwardly at the door. I asked, puzzled, "Why aren't you coming in?" She said softly, "There aren't any slippers for me." I looked at the bare entryway, silently cursing my carelessness. It was not just her slippers this home lacked. Clothes, a toothbrush, towels, cups, nothing was here. A bachelor's home was clearly different from one with a woman in it. I took a new pair of men's slippers from the cabinet for her, then led her inside and sat her on the living room sofa. She naturally nestled into my arms, then softly asked, "Husband, did we have a fight? Why aren't there any slippers for me at home?" Every muscle in my body tensed. Clenching my teeth, I said under my breath, "We didn't fight." I'd never been able to resist her speaking so sweetly. I fought to steady my emotions and explained, "This is a new place. We haven't bought everything yet. Whatever we're missing, we'll buy tomorrow." She gave a soft acknowledgement, then asked doubtfully, "But the doctor said being somewhere familiar would help my memory return. Why aren't we going back to our old home?" "Why not?" "Because after you moved out, I sold the house." But I obviously couldn't tell her that now. I chose my words carefully. "Well, because you chose this new home. You liked it. It's roomier than the old house, so you can do rehab at home." That wasn't a lie. Zuo Fei had picked out this place, a spacious apartment downtown, close to my company. It was meant to be our marital home, but before we could marry, we broke up. She called softly again, "Husband." I patted her shoulder, my tone a little rushed. "Enough," I continued. "You just left the hospital. You need rest. It's late. Get some sleep. We can talk tomorrow." I settled her in the guest room. Taking care of her lately had drained me completely. We'd been apart for 2 years, completely apart. When she left, it was like a knife through my heart, then twisted twice for good measure. But even the deepest wounds heal. It had been 2 years. I fully accepted the reality of her betrayal. During Monday morning's meeting, I got a call from an unknown number. My first thought was that they had the wrong number, so I didn't answer. But they called a second time, then a third. Something felt wrong. A rushed voice came through the phone. "Why did you take so long to answer? Are you Zuo Fei's family? Zuo Fei is in the emergency room at Central Hospital. Come immediately." My heart skipped a beat. I ran 3 red lights getting there. Zuo Fei was being transferred from the emergency room to neurosurgery. She wore a hospital gown. Her exposed skin was covered in wounds still oozing blood. I helped the hospital orderly push her gurney. We hurried down the long corridor. My mind was in chaos. 2 years. I thought my love had faded, and my hatred had gone too. But seeing her left me utterly dazed. I had to admit, someone you once loved deeply will always be different. I drank in the sight of her. I wanted to shake her awake and demand, "How dare you show up before me again? Hurt this badly? Where was that idiot man of yours?" Once I calmed down, I wondered again, should I leave before she woke up? What was I doing here? Was I just humiliating myself? I agonized, hesitated, worried, and nearly drove myself mad. I never expected that when she woke, she looked at me blankly. Then she cautiously asked, "Who are you?" I stared at her in shock and asked back, "Zuo Fei, it's only been 2 years, and you've forgotten me completely." A medical worker beside us chimed in, "He's your husband. You don't even recognize your husband?" We both looked up, frowning. She asked in surprise, "Husband, I'm married." "Husband? When did I marry her?" As I stood there confused, she gently took my hand. Her little face scrunched up as she said, "Husband." My head hurt so much. That one word, husband, made my heart clench painfully. Every speech I'd carefully prepared became useless. I hated myself for being so weak, yet I still clasped her hand tightly. I had once given everything to become her husband. 2 years later, the after effects remained. The doctor said she suffered a blow to the head. She may have amnesia. There was no telling when her memory would return. It could return tomorrow, or it could take a very long time. She wasn't fit to work for now. Take her home to recover. Having familiar people nearby will help her recovery. But be careful. Do not upset her. I searched through her phone. There wasn't a trace of that man. Had they broken up? HMPH. That man got the same ending I did. Serves him right. So I brought her home. It wasn't that I couldn't contact her friends or co-workers. After all, I knew some of them too. But after giving it some thought, leaving her with anyone else didn't sit right with me. Her phone listed me as her emergency contact. The note said, "Husband." So the medical staff all assumed we were married. It wasn't that I wanted to take advantage of it. I was mainly worried something might happen. As her husband, I could sign off on her medical decisions. An ex-boyfriend has no say at all. After half a month in the hospital, spending every day by her side, I seemed to be getting caught up in the act. Now that we were home, I couldn't indulge myself any longer. My thoughts were in turmoil. When the bedroom door gently opened, it was Zuo Fei. She crouched beside my bed. I instinctively held my breath. She leaned close and tenderly brushed her lips against towards mine, murmuring, "Husband," under her breath. I snapped on the bedside lamp and sat up. She was clearly startled. She stared at me blankly, then softly called, "Husband." I rubbed my face. Then I told her, "Stop calling me husband. You used to call me by my name." She looked at me in confusion, eyes wide. I reminded her, "Song Siyuan." Since I knew it was fake, I needed to gradually stop playing along. She looked at me, hurt. Then she asked, "But my phone says you're my husband, aren't you?" She took her phone from her pajama pocket, opened her photo album, and handed it to me. Pointing at the screen, she said, "Look, it's full of you." I'd already looked through the album. It really was all me. Me in magazines, me in news coverage, even blurry, rumor-fueled images from gossip magazines. Over the past 2 years, she'd saved every photo of my public appearances. And of course, plenty of old photos of us together. What did it mean? I wanted to demand what it all meant. She had resolutely broken up with me, saying she didn't love me anymore. She was the one who had a new man. I went from proudly declaring, "After we break up, you'll never find a man better than me," to humbly begging her, "Baby, please don't go." I even roared, "If you walk out that door, don't ever come back." But she left without looking back. During our final year together, my confidence was constantly crushed, my devotion trampled on, and my feelings toyed with. So, what was this supposed to be? She still loved me. Did she take me for a fool? I abruptly stood up, intending to send her back to her room, but she wrapped her arms around my waist from behind. She stubbornly asked, "Why aren't we sleeping together? Aren't we married?" Her questions made me restless. I wanted to tell her outright, "We broke up long ago. I'm not your husband, or even your boyfriend. I have no responsibility, or obligation, or even the right to care for you." Her small hand slid over my chest. A longing kiss landed on my back. My heart softened instantly. The words reached my lips, but I swallowed them back. Better not tell her yet. The doctor said not to upset her. I'd wait until she was better. I caught her wandering hand, turned, and looked at her. I tried to explain. "I might grind my teeth at night, or snore. It would disturb your sleep." She clung to me again, and said urgently, "I don't mind. I want you with me. I can't remember anything. My mind is completely blank. I'm really scared." Wasn't this taking advantage of her? She looked like she was about to cry. She pleaded, "Husband, please, please, husband." All right, what else could I say? I tucked her into bed and held her in my arms. I softly reassured her, "Don't be afraid. I'm here." She turned in my arms, hugging me face to face. She begged, "Husband, promise me. Don't leave me." I fell silent. She pressed me urgently. "Promise me." I couldn't promise her. Even if I did, it would mean nothing. I could only pat her gently and say softly, "Don't let your thoughts run wild. Get some sleep." She slept soundly, but I didn't sleep all night. I hated myself for softening. I hated myself for being pathetic. And I hated her for returning to turn my life upside down. Yet I couldn't quite bear to let her go. My heart was like a tangled ball of yarn, knotted beyond measure, with no end in sight. Something didn't feel right. When I met Zuo Fei, she had not yet graduated from dance school. She was innocent and beautiful. At my company's annual gala, the public relations department hired her group to perform. I fell for her at first sight. I got drunk with my buddies and bragged that I'd found love. My friend insisted, "Watch out. It might be a business transaction, not love." Even if it was transactional, I wouldn't have cared. Being wealthy was part of who I was. I saw nothing wrong with wanting money. It's always the one who doesn't care at first who ends up falling the hardest. My one boundary was this. She couldn't love money more than she loved me, but she never asked me for anything. I often tried to use money to solve her problems, like paying for graduate school, getting her a lead dancer role, or arranging performances for her, but she refused every time. She trained relentlessly and earned a place in a major dance company. For more than a year, we were inseparable whenever we had time. I'd just taken over the company. The pressure was intense, but whenever I was with her, I could forget all my troubles and lose myself in our little world. Our first argument came when she suddenly said she was touring America for 6 months. No matter how strongly I objected, she was still going. She said she had dreams of her own and didn't want to live in my shadow. There was nothing wrong with that, but as a proud man, not being fully trusted or relied upon made me feel deeply defeated. Long-distance love is painful. We were both busy. The time difference kept care and warmth painfully out of reach. Yet coldness and distance could cross every mountain between us. But eventually, I couldn't bear missing her any longer. From Beijing to America, a round trip took 48 hours. I made that exhausting journey twice a month. By the time she returned from America, I'd lost nearly 9 pounds. Love had become exhausting. It was doomed to end badly. After tossing and turning all night, morning finally came. After breakfast, I took Zuo Fei shopping. I had to admit, her beauty could satisfy every ounce of a man's vanity. Even a dress like a burlap sack looked graceful and lovely on her. I even wanted to do what they do on television and buy her every new item in season. I just never expected to run into Gao Mingyan at the mall. She froze for a moment when she saw me, then approached with several female friends. With a false smile, she said. President's song. Enjoying yourself, aren't you? Then she gave Zuo Fei a blatantly rude once-over. She pressed, aren't you going to introduce us? I took Zuo Fei's hand and led her away. I refused coldly. No need. We're leaving first. Enjoy yourselves. Getting tangled up with Gao Mingyan here was clearly unwise. But Gao Mingyan stepped closer. She rose on tiptoe and leaned in to whisper in my ear. Some women you can have your fun with, but don't let them ruin the bigger picture. Then she patted my shoulder, her tone a warning. Keep a low profile. Rumors that you're keeping a mistress won't look good. You may have no shame, but my sister does. I pushed her away and demanded in a low voice, watch your mouth. Who are you to meddle in my affairs? But Gao Mingyan wouldn't let it go. She said in a coy tone, oh please, I'm only standing up for my sister. Such a perfect son-in-law, when you're really just a womanizing playboy. My good mood from shopping vanished instantly. On the way home, Zuo Fei didn't say a word. After what happened, any woman would have gotten the wrong idea, but I wasn't going to explain myself to her. After all, ours was not a relationship we could acknowledge openly. I didn't know how long I'd remain her fake husband. Maybe the next second, she'd remember everything, and we'd go our separate ways. The moment we got home, before we'd even taken off our shoes, Zuo Fei suddenly turned and kissed me. There was no finesse to it, but it was forceful and desperate. Using every ounce of restraint, I held her arms. I asked softly, do you want to talk? Storm clouds churned in her eyes. She looked ready to cry. She asked instead, talk about what? Will it be what I want to hear? I gently stroked her cheek and tested the waters. Are you jealous? What do you want to hear? She looked into my eyes, as if searching them for an answer. After a moment, she said nothing. She only burrowed into my arms and held me tight. In a low voice, she begged, don't leave me. Ever since she lost her memory, I heard her say, don't leave me every day. Each time, it unleashed a savage fury inside me. It made me want to demand, don't leave me. When I said that to you back then, how did you treat me? Then I felt dampness against my chest. She was crying silently. The words were on the tip of my tongue, but I swallowed them again. That evening, I made her a bowl of tomato and egg noodles. She enjoyed it immensely. Neither of us was much of a cook. Back then, if we weren't ordering delivery, we made noodles or hot pot. It was easy. That night, I claimed I had work to do and told her to sleep first. I dragged it out until midnight, thinking she had to be asleep by then, so I could avoid the torture of holding her and only talking. But when I pushed open the bedroom door, her long hair cascaded down her back. She was waiting for me in the lace nightgown we'd bought that day. Utterly alluring. Were these the perks of being her fake husband? I'd been celibate for 2 years. Did she have to put me through this torment? Kneeling on the bed, she looped both arms around my neck. I pulled her hands away and ordered quietly, be good and go to sleep. Her eyes were hazy. She asked softly, don't you want me? I took a deep breath to steady myself and said with difficulty, that's not it. Your body. But she cut me off, saying urgently, I'm fine now. I only have amnesia. There's nothing wrong with my body. We're husband and wife. Her gaze dropped downward. There was a hint of provocation in her voice. Raising an eyebrow, she asked, or are you not up to it? That thoroughly pissed me off. No man could stand that kind of insult. But reason told me to hold back. I couldn't take advantage of her. Yet she clearly had no intention of letting me off the hook. She leaned in to kiss me. I dodged. She moved to the other side and tried again. I barely avoided her. Again and again, she used all her strength to hold my face still and kiss me again. All the blood in my body rushed downward. I gritted my teeth and warned her, I've given you 3 chances. You insist on tempting me. Don't regret it. She tipped up her face and kissed me with certainty. Her voice was clear. I've never regretted it. I showed her no tenderness, driven by my resentment toward her. I spent the whole night in shameless, reckless abandon. When she woke, she complained in my arms, her voice tinged with grievance. I told you to be gentler, but you wouldn't listen. I hired a professional rehabilitation therapist to help Zuo Fei recover at home. The hourly housekeeper could handle her meals, and I had to race through the mountain of work that had piled up over the past 10 days. When I came home that evening, a lavish dinner was already set on the table. Even from a distance, it didn't look like the housekeeper's cooking. Zuo Fei told me excitedly, I made all of tonight's dinner myself. I was stunned. She never used to know how to cook. I had even teased her, calling her a little dummy who only knew how to eat. So amnesia doesn't make you forget how to cook? I asked instinctively. When did you learn to cook? She looked at me with wide eyes and asked in confusion. I didn't know how before? While looking through my phone, I found lots of recipes saved in an app, so I followed them. It went smoothly. I didn't even cut myself. I gave a cold laugh, thinking, that man really knew what he was doing. The woman I'd spoiled so much she never had to lift a finger around the house. He turned into someone who cooked for him. The thought killed my appetite. I tugged at my tie, ready to return to the bedroom. Zuo Fei followed me in. Considerately, she helped me change into loungewear. She chattered on about everything she'd done at home that day. Then she took my hand and asked with concern, you don't seem very happy. Was work too exhausting? After dinner, I'll give you a massage. Well, Damn, she'd even learned massage. She pulled me over to the dining table. Only then did I realize the whole table was filled with my favorite dishes. Hesitantly, I picked the cilantro garnish from the dishes and put it in my bowl. I remarked casually, "You've lost your memory. So, you forgot that you don't eat cilantro." Her eyes widened in surprise. Really? But my notes say cilantro must be included. My hand froze as I reached for food. I love cilantro. What did that mean? During the 2 years we'd been apart, had she repeatedly practiced cooking the dishes I loved? She propped her cheek on her hand and looked at me. She said tenderly, "Honey, I think I must love you very much." Her sudden confession made my heart tremble. My eyes burned. I didn't know how to answer. She looked at me expectantly and asked softly, "Do you love me?" I looked into her hopeful eyes and said nothing. When no answer came, she murmured disappointedly, "It feels like I love you more." How could love be measured anyway? I didn't want to repeat the past and lose myself in love again. Besides, our relationship was completely unequal now. I looked at her and said calmly, "Some things can wait until your memories return. Then we can talk about them, okay?" For a while afterward, this became how we lived together. The unease in my heart gave way to the warmth of daily life. I worked during the day. She recovered at home. Sometimes she cooked and waited for me to come home. At night, I watched old videos with her, old photos, and told her about the details of our life together. We watched the films we used to love, trying to help her regain her memories. At night, unable to resist, we made love shamelessly in every corner of the house. My buddy, Wei Haoren, who was also my company's vice president, mocked me. Socrates said, "No one can step into the same river twice." But are you ready to let the same woman hurt you twice? I snapped back. "Would it kill you to keep your mouth shut?" He immediately replied, "It'd drive me crazy." I said coldly, "Then keep suffering." Wei Haoren's tone turned serious. He fired off a string of questions. "Stop fooling yourself. Sooner or later, she'll get her memories back. Have you resolved the fundamental problem between you? Can you forgive her for falling for someone else? Does your mother know she's back?" Every question struck straight at the heart. None of it had been resolved. I'd simply chosen not to think about it. Our biggest problem had always been this. She wouldn't give up dancing for me, and my family couldn't accept a dancer as my wife. Then later, as conflicts kept arising, someone took advantage of the cracks between us. It wasn't that I couldn't defy everyone and insist on marrying her. The point was, I didn't want her to dance either. After we'd been together for more than 3 years, she was only 23. It was the prime of a dancer's career. As her performances increased, we spent less and less time together. Distance in love is like wind to fire. It puts out the weak flames and feeds the strong ones. During that time, I almost obsessively wanted to keep her tied to my side. I remember one time, her dance troupe collaborated with the National Dance Company of Brunei. I happened to be on a business trip in Singapore, so I deeded to Brunei to see her. She performed a solo called Soul of the Sparrow. It was breathtakingly beautiful, wild and free. I learned afterward that Brunei's royal family had been seated in the audience. One young, wealthy Bruneian noble had publicly declared he would pursue her. I was furious. Of course, it wasn't her fault, but I felt threatened, restless, and petty. As she performed more men saw how beautiful she was. Men came after her in droves. I had to admit some of them were even better than me. I no longer knew how to keep her. The tighter I held her, the farther away I seemed to push her. My career was also at a critical stage. The business world was full deception and intrigue. There were endless social obligations. I worked from dawn until late at night every day. Whenever I finally found some free time, my girlfriend wasn't by my side. We tried to sustain a frustratingly distant relationship through calls and video chats. It was maddening, and that wasn't all. I was constantly on edge, afraid other men would take what was mine, and even more afraid someone would hurt her. Then, right at that time, she was injured during a rehearsal with her troupe. After an investigation, it appeared someone may have deliberately set her up. I panicked. An injury could heal. But what if something worse happened? If it was some minor player? I still had the power to handle it completely. But some of her admirers even had criminal connections. She was out in the open, while they lurked in the shadows. There was no way to guard against everything. I used the opportunity to tell her to stop dancing. I couldn't bear having her in danger I couldn't control. If she loved dancing, fine. I could open a dance school for her. She could teach children, make occasional guest appearances, and still prove her worth. She could still fulfill her dream of dancing. But she refused without hesitation. We had a huge fight. Because of the accident, she recuperated for nearly 3 months. I was furious, but she always knew how to calm me with effortless grace. During those 3 months, at least I could see her when I came home from work. That put me at ease. I turned down as many social obligations as I could to be with her. Even the cast on her leg couldn't stop us from fooling around. That happiness of being wrapped in love may never come again in this lifetime. Secretly, I began preparing to propose to her, but unexpectedly, although her foot healed, she'd missed her chance at the lead role. But to return to the stage and protect her standing in the troupe, she accepted a duet performance with the company. When I went to watch her rehearse, I was nearly driven mad with anger. The male dancer held her waist in an intimate embrace. During the lift, one hand gripped her thigh, while the other held her chest. I forced myself to stay calm, telling myself this was the career she loved. It was her work. It was art. Don't be narrow-minded. Don't become some pathetic, jealous fool. But while she went to change, the male dancer came over to provoke me. Waggling his eyebrows, he said, "Brother, you're one lucky man. Zuo Fei's ass is so soft, and her tits are fucking huge. She must be incredible in bed, huh?" I threw a punch, breaking the dancer's nose. The police took me away. Unsurprisingly, the incident reached Ms. Wu. My mother had never liked her. In her view, a Song family daughter-in-law had no business appearing in public like that. For Zuo Fei, I had fought the fiercest battle of my adult life against my entire family. In the end, they relented. We could marry, but Zuo Fei couldn't keep dancing. She had to stay home, support her husband, and raise children. That was their greatest concession. So after I assaulted that man, Ms. Wu remained utterly calm, as if she'd expected it all along. She said, "You should understand now just how unsuitable you two are." Unsuitable. Everyone told me we were unsuitable. But love is love. You don't love someone because they're suitable. You want to become suitable because you love them. Zuo Fei lost her chance at the duet, and I lost the best chance to propose. I stood firm. I told her I could never tolerate her being intimate with other men. She argued that I didn't understand art, and that I was interfering with her freedom. Then came the Cold War, then reconciliation, then another Cold War over trivial things, then made up again, over and over, until we were exhausted. I truly loved her. I couldn't bear to let her go. She said she loved me too, but my love made her feel suffocated. The day she left with her luggage, she told me coldly, "Song Siyuan, I don't love you anymore. There's someone else." The overwhelming rage I felt then. I wanted to destroy her with my own hands and grind her bones to dust. But once I calmed down, I was swallowed by an all-consuming longing that seeped into everything. Countless times, I picked up the phone, wanting to call and demand, "Why? I treated you so well." Of course, reason and emotion kept tearing at each other. Through countless drunken nights and lonely mornings when I woke alone, I held on through sheer willpower. Eventually, I really did survive it. Forgetting her was impossible, but I buried it in the deepest part of my heart. As long as I didn't deliberately dredge it up, it wouldn't come back to haunt me. Over the past 2 years, I occasionally saw her on television. She was exceptional. I even happened to see her perform live with a blind date once. But I left before the curtain call. I was afraid she'd see me. I hated myself for being unable to let her go. Even now, I don't know whether fate has given me a chance or a punishment. Since the car accident, she's depended heavily on me. I've asked myself more than once, do I still love her? There was no answer. But she can still stir my heart so easily. Should we get back together? Leaving aside the fact that she's lost her memory, I didn't know whether she'd want to reconcile once her memories returned. And as for me, I wasn't confident we wouldn't repeat the same mistakes. So I buried my head in the sand and waited, hoping time would give me the answer. Until a photo of her and me hit the trending charts. The headline was explosive. Song family heir secretly meets a beauty. Gal Song marriage alliance reportedly called off. The photo was taken the day we went shopping. She wore a long dress and leaned against me. It was blurry, but anyone who knew me could tell it was me. It didn't identify her. The photographer probably knew little about classical dance, so they didn't recognize her. Clearly, this wasn't the work of a professional paparazzo. Wei Haoran rushed in with the public relations manager. They looked stunned when they saw my computer screen. He asked, "You already know." I answered calmly, "It's on every platform. It would be hard not to see it." He pressed urgently, "No. I mean, what were you thinking? You knew you were under intense scrutiny, yet you took a woman out in public so conspicuously. Don't say I didn't warn you. You're in trouble." As Wei Haoran spoke, he made a bet with the manager beside him. "I bet Ms. Wu calls within half an hour." The manager said coolly, "One bet 5 minutes." The words had barely left his mouth when my phone rang. Looking at the manager, I smiled. "Too bad. You never said how much we were betting." Sure enough, it was my mother's call. She launched into a furious tirade, but I didn't listen. I held the phone half a meter from my ear. About 10 minutes later, I brought it back. I asked coldly, "Are you finished?" "My turn now," I said firmly. "First, I can secure the Nanshan project without a marriage alliance, so there's no need to rush to sell off your son. Second, I don't like anyone interfering in my private life. That includes you. Finally, don't scheme against me. I'll make you pay the price." I hung up. I picked up the suit jacket draped over my chair and told them, "I'm leaving." Wei Haoran shouted after me, "What about the trending topic? Should we suppress it or leave it up?" Without looking back, I replied, "Whatever." It didn't take a genius to know Gao Mingyan took the photos and bought the trending post. The day I ran into her, I knew this day would come. The two Gao sisters fighting for control was old news in business circles. The Gao family business had been passed down for generations. Unfortunately, by the third generation, there was no son. There was nothing wrong with the daughter taking charge, but she needed a powerful ally. A marriage alliance was the best way. I was flattered. Both sisters had made overtures to me, but I wanted Wanzhong Media, which Gao Minqi controlled, so I chose to work with her. Soon, news of our supposed engagement spread through the business world. Of course, it wasn't real. It was only to give the shareholders some confidence, just to make things easier. For 2 years, I maneuvered through the factional struggles of powerful families. I immersed myself completely in schemes and calculations, without a moment's rest. It was tedious, but staying busy kept me from thinking about Zuo Fei. It kept me from reliving the pain of loving her without having her, and of being betrayed. I used my career as medicine for a broken heart. That was how I built a power base of my own. No one could control me anymore, not even my mother. I floored the accelerator. I just wanted to get home quickly. Zuo Fei checked her phone every day. I couldn't predict how she'd react if she saw the trending post. During the half-hour drive, I received 2 calls. Gao Minqi called to say some executives from both companies were unhappy with me. To minimize the fallout, she wanted me to attend her family gathering with her, but I refused without hesitation. Before, I didn't mind playing along with her. It was mutually beneficial. Why not? But after Zuo Fei returned, I no longer wanted to. Although things between us were still undefined, I had hopes for us. I didn't want any more complications. Of course, I said I would compensate Gao Minqi and speed up cooperation between our companies. She was straightforward about it, though she said with slight disappointment, "I'm a little jealous of your girlfriend." It couldn't be helped. A heart is only the size of a fist. Once it's full, there's no room for anyone else. The other call came as a surprise. It was Zuo Fei's best friend, and Lulu. As the friend who was practically family to Zuo Fei, we'd had meals together a few times, so she had my private number. And Lulu asked anxiously, Siyuan, is Zuo Fei living with you? Give me your address now. I'll come pick her up immediately. Frowning, I replied, she has amnesia. I'm the only person she recognizes. Even if you come, she won't leave with you. And Lulu explained, I know. I've called her countless times. If she'd vanished without a trace, I would have called the police long ago. I said resolutely, then you understand. I'm not sending her back. Not unless she fully recovers her memory and chooses to leave herself with a trace of reproach. And Lulu said, Siyuan, stop clinging to her. After all these years, hasn't she done enough for you? What has she ever done for me? The call left me irritated. When I got home, Zuo Fei wasn't there. That had never happened since her accident. She was always home waiting for me. Sometimes I had business dinners. No matter how late I came home, she would stubbornly wait up for me. I told her so many times, eat first, sleep first, don't wait for me. But she never would. She always said, what's the point of being alone? I only feel at ease once you're home. Now I was the one who couldn't rest easy. I stared at the empty house, my heart suddenly clenching tight. What did this mean? Had she seen the trending story? Did she doubt our relationship? Was that why she'd left? It was only natural for her to doubt it. The article online ran for thousands of words. It revealed secrets about a wealthy family marriage alliance, along with profiles of Gao Minqi and me, our company's next strategic moves, and stock forecast. Unless she hadn't seen it, she would at least question our marriage. She'd wonder why the media called me single and linked me to another woman. There was an even worse possibility. She'd regained her memory and left without a word. The old feeling of being abandoned swept over me. Either way, this time, I needed an answer. As I walked, I called Wei Haoren and ordered, find someone from me. Wei Haoren asked, confused, boss, who are we looking for? Zuo Fei, she's gone. Call the police. What can I do? Enough nonsense. Use every connection you have. Find her. My mind raced through every possible scenario, searching for places Zuo Fei might have gone. Shopping, a cafe, a park. My steps faltered. My heart pounded wildly. I couldn't wait for the elevator. I was so frantic. I nearly took the stairs up 32 floors. Then the elevator chimed. I instantly turned around. My eyes met Zuo Fei's as she stepped out. The knot in my heart abruptly loosened. I strode toward her, gripping her wrist tightly, and demanded, where have you been? She opened her mouth, then stopped herself. My tone turned harsh as I pressed her again. Speak, where did you go? Before she could answer, I wrapped an arm around her waist, scooped her up, and carried her home. She gave a startled cry, staring at me wide-eyed. Only after I threw her onto the sofa did I see her eyes clearly. Something was wrong. She'd been crying. Agitated, I loosened my tie, trying to calm myself. I forced down my irritation and asked in a low voice, where did you go? She lowered her head and answered quietly, I went out to buy something. Only then did I notice the small bag in her hand. The pattern showing through the bag looked familiar. Durex. She twisted her hands awkwardly and explained, we ran out at home. We weren't safe yesterday either. Well, look at her. she'd really grown bold. I used to be the one who supplied our little tools of mischief. If we ran out, we'd be forced to stop. Which man had taught her to go out and buy them herself? I took the bag and looked inside. She bought exactly the right ones. The size, and even the flavor, were what I liked. Looking at her meek, downcast expression, desire surged through me. I nearly carried her into the bedroom and had my way with her. But I still had my reason. I needed to understand what was happening first. I worked to steady myself and asked, "Did you check your phone today? If you have questions, you can ask me directly." She said nothing for a long while. The weight made me anxious, and my tone sharpened. "Speak." My shout made her flinch. She looked up, staring at me, the corners of her eyes red, a tear welling at the corner of one eye. She quickly wiped it away. I panicked a little. My forceful manner vanished, and I softened my voice. "Why are you crying? Talk to me." I let out a helpless sigh and said gently, "When I came home and you weren't there, I got worried. I'm sorry. But if you have any questions about me, I want you to ask me openly, instead of keeping them inside and guessing." She took a deep breath, looked up at me, and asked, "I saw the trending story. I don't understand what it means. You're my husband. So why are you entering a marriage alliance with someone else?" A marriage alliance means getting married, right? I hadn't expected her to be so direct. Suddenly, I felt intensely irritated. But now that we'd come this far, I didn't want to keep lying to her. I spoke slowly, my voice low. "Because we're not married. I'm not your husband." She looked utterly incredulous and pressed, "Then why are you listed as my emergency contact?" I explained, "We used to be together. We were very much in love. You probably set me as your emergency contact back then and never changed it." Her eyes were lost as she asked again, "Used to. Then we. What are we now?" I looked at her, my voice complicated. "After we broke up, we were strangers. But you came back. So, what are we now?" "That's up to you." Zuo Fei and I stopped speaking to each other. At a loss, she told me she needed time to think. I let her stay in the master bedroom while I moved into the guest room. That night, I lay in the cold bed. When I reached beside me, it was empty, and my heart felt just as barren. The unopened Durex sat in the drawer. Now it was completely useless. After she came back, every night, I'd hold her and make love to her until we were both exhausted, then sleep soundly until morning. Now, the insomnia she'd cured had returned. Maybe asking her to define our relationship was too much. After all, she'd lost her memory. To her, the past was already behind her, but not from me. Our vows still echoed in my ears, etched deep into my bones. At the slightest sound next door, I strained to listen. I waited for ages, but there was no more sound. Disappointment crept in. It seemed she wouldn't come over tonight. Part of me was torn. Should I go to her first? After thinking it over, I decided against it. We had to get through this sooner or later. The next morning, Zuo Fei had dark circles under her eyes, just like mine. She said, "Let's talk." I was already dressed in my suit. I checked the time. There was no time. I had a morning meeting, so I asked, "If you don't mind, come to the office with me." Once we were in the car, I explained, "The drive is half an hour. We can talk on the way." Zuo Fei hesitantly asked, "Is it appropriate for me to go? After all, you have a fiancé." At a red light, I turned to look at her and asked in return, "Since you saw the trending story, why didn't you ask me from the start?" She drew a deep breath and explained, "I considered a lot of possibilities. I thought we were secretly married and couldn't make it public. Maybe you had to appear single publicly, for business or something. You know, that's how it works in television dramas. But I never expected reality to be even more absurd than a drama." She was surprisingly good at talking herself into it. I gave a quiet laugh. "There is no fiancé. They're all rumors. Can't help it. I'm too popular, so plenty of women throw themselves at me. The domineering CEO type. You know, that's how it goes in television dramas." She twisted her hands together. I could tell she was hurting too. She softly asked, "How long have we been apart?" I answered, "More than 2 years." Her face filled with shock, then confusion. She pressed on, "That long? Why did we break up?" My heart clenched violently. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, my voice hoarse. "Because you didn't want me anymore. You fell for another man." After settling Zuo Fei in my office, I went to meet with the sales department. My head throbbed all morning. When I returned, Wei Haoren was in my office too, talking to Zuo Fei about something. As he passed me on his way out, Wei Haoren winked at me and said smugly, "Brother." I couldn't hold it in. I finally got that off my chest. I rubbed my brow. This was giving me a headache. I turned to Zuo Fei and asked, "What did Haoren say to you? Do you remember him?" Zuo Fei shook her head blankly and said, "No, but he said we used to be pretty close." I nodded and explained, "We used to spend a lot of time together. He was always the third wheel. Don't take anything he says to heart. We're just on opposite sides." Zuo Fei said quietly. He scolded me, but I wasn't angry. Hearing about our relationship from someone else actually felt strangely familiar. He said, "You'd done a lot for me, but I let you down. I never thought I could have been so awful." She lowered her head and thought for a moment. Then she said firmly, "I'm sorry. Thank you for everything you've done lately, but you have no obligation to take care of me. So, I think I should move out of your house." I clenched my fist and stared at her, my voice trembling slightly. "That's your answer? Move out of my house? Then never contact me again? Then what was I to you all this time?" Last night, I kept telling myself to be gentler with her. She had amnesia. Blaming her or taking my anger out on her was unfair, but I couldn't control myself. Hearing that she wanted to leave hurt worse than a knife through my heart. Zuo Fei looked up and demanded, "But you never corrected me. You knew I'd misunderstood. So, why didn't you tell me sooner?" Her accusation left me speechless. It was true. At the end of the day, I was selfish. I had ulterior motives. But I asked her in return, "Then why didn't you change your emergency contact? Why was I saved as husband?" She shook her head in confusion and said, "I don't know. I don't remember." She bent forward, burying her face in her knees. She murmured in anguish, "I don't remember. I don't remember anything." Seeing her like that tore my heart apart. I knew none of this was her fault, but I still wanted to unload all my pain onto her. "Weren't you the one who dragged me back into this? Do you think I wanted to play your fake husband? Living in fear every day, worrying myself sick, do you think that doesn't hurt me? You heartlessly used me, and now you want to leave." That's just how people are. If you never had something, it would be easier. But to gain it, then lose it, find it again, then lose it once more. The pain multiplies exponentially. After that bitter fight, Zuo Fei didn't leave. But sleeping in separate rooms had its consequences. Either I tossed and turned all night, or had hazy dreams until dawn. As for what I dreamed about, all I can say is, keeping a man penned up is a threat to social stability. Zuo Fei wasn't doing very well either. Our relationship was painfully awkward. We couldn't find a comfortable way to be around each other. I started to regret it. If only we hadn't trended online. Given time, maybe she would have become unable to leave me. Fueled by resentment, I launched a series of attacks against Gao Mingyan, the woman behind the trending story. I would make her understand the price of making me miserable. In business, when one side rises, the other falls. So my highly profitable partnership with Gao Minky was deeply satisfying. Gao Minky swirled her glass of red wine and asked, "Why are you so determined to acquire Wanzhong Media?" I couldn't be bothered to answer. Gao Minky pressed on. "Because of a woman?" Zuo Fei. I frowned and cautioned her, "Don't misunderstand. I don't mean anything by it. I've just seen her before." I explained, "She's a dancer, and she's somewhat well known. It's perfectly normal that I've seen her." Gao Minky shook her head and said, "No, I saw her at a hospital. You know, my father had cancer when he was receiving treatment in the United States. I saw her there. We were both Chinese, and she was beautiful, so I paid special attention to her." The United States. Cancer. My heart began pounding wildly. I realized that during the 2 years Zuo Fei was gone, there was so much I didn't know. The mystery still wasn't solved. An unexpected visitor came to my office. At the front desk downstairs, he claimed to be Zuo Fei's friend. Of course, I had to see him. He was a fairly young man, well-dressed and handsome. He had the air of a carefree, roguish gentleman. He sprawled confidently onto the sofa, completely at ease. I frowned, but didn't speak first. I wanted to see what he was after. When he introduced himself as Shao and claimed to be Zuo Fei's boyfriend, my eyes narrowed. He came in demanding that I hand her over. I narrowed my eyes and asked coldly, "Why should I hand her over to you?" Shao raised a brow and countered, "Because I'm more qualified to care for her than you are. You have a fiancé. Don't tell me you want Zuo Fei to be your mistress. You said it yourself. She's only my fiancée. It's only a title, and it's only a rumor." He frowned at me, his tone edged with displeasure. "Do you always act this recklessly, Mr. Song? Keeping your ex-girlfriend, whom you broke up with over 2 years ago, tied to your side? Are you trying to rekindle the past, or waiting for a chance to get revenge?" I couldn't be bothered arguing with him. I pressed the intercom button and told security to come up and escort him out. I could barely breathe, yet he remained perfectly calm. He stood and smoothed his suit. "No need for that trouble. Zuo Fei will leave with me. If you don't believe me, just wait and see." With that, he left. I was left so agitated I couldn't stay another second. All I wanted was to get home immediately. A quiet dread rose inside me. Amnesia was like a ticking time bomb. The moment her memories returned, we could each go our separate ways. What would Zuo Fei do? Leave without a word? Disappear without saying goodbye? Or return to that man's arms and tell me she loved someone else, and that this whole time had been a misunderstanding? I couldn't stop myself from cursing under my breath. Damn it, I'd barely taken a few steps before my mother blocked me at the door. When you're having a bad day, everyone seems determined to make it worse. Mrs. Wu demanded sharply, "Why didn't you answer my calls?" The woman in those photos was Zuo Fei, wasn't she? You're tangled up with her again. I've told you, I don't like you interfering in my private life. If you weren't my son, do you think I'd bother with you? After all these years, you haven't changed at all. The moment you see that woman, you lose all sense. I didn't back down. Our relationship had already been strained for years. Because you're my mother. I'll tell you this once. Shut up. Save us both some dignity. You're living with her? Fine. I'll see what she's really after. She spun around, as if to leave. I grabbed her arm, staring hard at her. My eyes held a warning. I knew too well how powerful families operated. Sometimes, their schemes were impossible to guard against. I had to make her abandon any ideas she shouldn't have. Don't overstep. If you dare touch her, don't blame me for forgetting we're mother and son. Mrs. Wu gave a scornful laugh, her eyes full of contempt. You protect her no matter what. What a devoted lover you are. Too bad you're blind, and devoted yourself to the wrong woman. Do you know, back then, I spent only 2 million yuan to make her leave you. Your love was worth only 2 million yuan, and you still won't let go. You're hopelessly blinded by love. I should have known. Back then, she promised me that as long as Zuo Fei gave up dancing, the family would accept her. But that was only a stalling tactic to avoid an open break with me. While I blamed Zuo Fei for refusing to consider my feelings, Mrs. Wu had her own methods. She could pay Zuo Fei to leave me, or use her career or personal safety as leverage. Such things were commonplace in wealthy families. They were despicable, but terribly effective. But I would never believe Zuo Fei left me for 2 million yuan. Never. It's like someone who owns an ocean. Who would leave for a single glass of water? If she wanted money, I would have given her far more than 2 million. There had to be another reason. The United States. Cancer. 2 million yuan. On my way home, I called a friend at an investigative agency. I had to uncover the connection behind it all. When I got home, Zuo Fei was on the phone. Her phone had been ringing nonstop. When she felt up to it, she answered. Usually, she explained, I'm sorry, I have amnesia. I don't know who you are. Thank you for your concern. I'm doing well now. She said the same thing to everyone, and she was sick of repeating it. So most of the time, she simply hung up. But today's caller was clearly more than an ordinary friend. It would be such a shame to give up. It doesn't matter if you can't remember. Your fundamentals are still there. There's still time to practice. It means so much to you. You always said it was your life's goal. I'll send you some videos. Watch them and start practicing. I'll go talk to Siyuan. What does he think he's doing? What does this have to do with him? He doesn't get to interfere with you. Her voice was so loud, I could hear her from the entryway. Who else could it be but in Lulu? I watched Zuo Fei quietly. She hung up, and music began playing from her phone. She watched intently for a while, then stood up, rose onto her toes, and stretched out her arms. Then she kicked one leg up and spun in a circle. Her body was light and supple. Even in loungewear, she danced beautifully. A confident smile graced her face, reminding me of the woman who captivated everyone on stage. The woman who shone so brilliantly. She had worked so hard for dance, yet I had self-righteously demanded she give it up. I even thought I was the one being wronged, asking if dancing mattered more to her than I did. I even forced her to choose between dance and me, one or the other. Suddenly, it all seemed ridiculous. If it were me, and someone trapped me with love, while claiming it was love and protection, I would feel suffocated too. As she spun, her gaze drifted carelessly past, and she saw me in the entryway. She looked delighted, like a cheerful little swallow. She ran toward me eagerly, but 2 steps away from me. She stopped awkwardly. The smile vanished from her face. She had probably realized that our undefined relationship wasn't one where we could hug and cuddle. But at that moment, I wanted to hold her tight. I stepped forward and pulled her into my arms. I buried my face in her hair, wanting only to hold her. Without saying a word, she stubbornly hesitated for a moment, then gently placed her small hand on my back, offering a trace of comfort. What's wrong? I suddenly feel like an asshole. She seemed a little at a loss, struggling lightly. As she tried to look up at me, I held her tighter. Don't move. Let me hold you a while. I just want to hold you like this. Neither of us move. If my growling stomach hadn't shattered the peaceful moment, I don't know how long I could have held her. Zuo Fei laughed softly in my arms. Eat something first, then you can keep hugging me. I sighed. I haven't held you enough. I want to hold you forever. But we still have to eat and use the bathroom. I want to hold you openly, properly, and legally. I loosened my arms. She tilted her face up from my embrace, confusion in her eyes. What do you mean? I looked deeply into her eyes, utterly certain, my voice resolute. I want to put my mark on you, so everyone knows you're mine. Her eyes flew wide open, her face full of shock. Like this. I bent down and left a hickey on her neck. She looked a little panicked, her voice trembling. We're not husband and wife. We can be married. Let's get married. Okay. She was utterly stunned, her voice rising in shock. Get married. But I lifted her up and set her on the entryway cabinet, bracing my arms on either side. I caged her between them, leaving her no choice but to face me. There was no escape. For over a month, we've been together every day. I'm your emergency contact. You cook for me. Your photo album is full of me. And you slept with me so many times in so many ways. So, You. I looked at her solemnly and asked softly, do you still love me? Her face flushed scarlet. Her gaze began to dart away, unable to meet my eyes. But you said that back then. I held her gaze, my tone firm. What happened back then? I'll find out, even if I never do. It doesn't matter. What matters to me is the present and the future. I figured that out on my way home. Shao showed up today. Tomorrow, other men pursuing you may come knocking. Rather than wait for rivals to compete for you, I'd rather make the first move. All this agonizing is only about who was right or wrong back then. What meaning does that have? Even if you learn a fly had landed on the dumplings you ate the year before last, would you throw up today's meal too? So, what if you've lost your memory? You're right here in my arms. Then we'll make new memories together. As for those truths waiting to surface, they'll come to light eventually. After all the twists and turns, I'd met countless women over the past 2 years, but she was the only one who ever moved my heart. So, I want her. I want to be her husband, rightfully and openly. People are strange. Take one step back, and everything becomes clear. The clouds crowding my heart seemed to disperse in an instant. She was still hesitant, her voice uncertain. Can you wait until I get my memories back? What if you never regain them? Are we supposed to live apart forever? I couldn't bear that. But I don't even know where my household registration book is. That's not a problem. Leave it to me. But I raised a finger and gently pressed it over her heart. My gaze was earnest. Ask your heart, do you want to be with me for the rest of your life? That day, we curled up on the couch and talked for a long time. I told her about my work, my friends, and my interests. She showed me the video and Lulu had sent her. It was a dance she had performed, a solo she had prepared for a long time to enter in a competition. Is it beautiful? This dance is different from every one you showed me before. I really like it. It's beautiful. If you like it, practice it. You can do whatever you want. Really? Didn't you say we used to fight all the time about dancing? Because I was petty. Because you were so beautiful when you danced, and I probably felt insecure. That was it. At its core, it was insecurity. I didn't understand it then, but I understand now. Loving someone doesn't mean binding her or keeping her captive. It means supporting her dreams, appreciating her achievements, and understanding her choices. Only then can a relationship be healthy and lasting. That night, I finally moved back into the master bedroom, and the condoms finally had a use. I never felt so content, but I never expected Shao to come knocking so soon. Zuo Fei answered the door and asked in confusion, "You are?" Shao frowned, his voice puzzled. "Zuo Fei." I hurried over and moved Zuo Fei behind me, my eyes wary. She has amnesia. Don't upset her. Amnesia. That explains it. So, you knew she'd lost her memory, yet you deliberately kept her by your side. Your intentions are truly vile. I blocked the hand he reached toward her, doing my best to remain composed, my tone calm. Zuo Fei accepted my proposal. We're officially together. He pointed at my face and furiously spat out each word. You're taking advantage of her vulnerability. You swooped in while she was weak. Despicable. I grabbed my phone, about to call the building security downstairs. Rage burned inside me. They let just anyone in. Did they not want their jobs anymore? He ignored me completely and shoved me hard. He stepped sideways and seized Zuo Fei's wrist. Come with me. At my own front door. He was trying to take her right in front of me. I disliked him for a long time. I stepped forward and drove a fist straight into his face, showing no mercy. The blow sent him staggering back to steps, his face filled with shock. I was about to pull Zuo Fei over and shut the front door behind us, but he blocked it with his long leg, then shoved the door open and lunged at me. In an instant, to men over 6 feet tall or grappling, I've been civilized for too long. Normally, I wouldn't lower myself to fighting, but now, I wanted to beat every last tooth out of his mouth. He seemed to hate me just as much, and he didn't hold back. Fists struck our faces, our bodies, and neither of us felt the pain. Only surging adrenaline drove us on, desperate to win this primal fight between two men. He roared, "What right do you have to cling to her?" I shot back. She came to me first. He flew into a rage. Bullshit. You'd have broke up long ago. I gritted my teeth. We got back together. We're both men. Don't think I can't see what you're after. You think she'll fall for you? Keep dreaming. He gave a cold laugh. Then ask her who stayed by her side these past 2 years. We traded vicious words as we fought, but at the mention of those 2 years, the violence inside me peaked instantly. I twisted to one side and pinned him down, snarling each word as I demanded. Do you know whose bed she's been in lately? Shao's eyes widened. He was beside himself with rage. I kept provoking him. Can't stand hearing this about the woman you love. Want me to tell you the details? Shao roared. Song Siyuan. You deserve to die. I sneered back. You're the one who deserves to die. A pain cry rang in my ears. Enough. Shao and I both froze. We had been fighting so fiercely that I'd only caught glimpses of Zuo Fei desperately trying several times to pull us apart, but unable to find a way in. But now, she was crouched on the floor in agony, clutching her head. I was still stunned. When Shao threw me aside and rushed to her, he called out anxiously, Zuo Fei. Zuo Fei's face was streaked with tears as she gasped for air. Shao anxiously rubbed her back, softly soothing her. Don't cry. Don't hyperventilate. Control your breathing. Zuo Fei, watch your breathing. As he spoke, he lifted Zuo Fei into his arms. I stepped forward to take her from him, but he suddenly shouted, "You fucking idiot. Go get the car." We rushed Zuo Fei to the nearest hospital. She clutched her chest the entire way, gasping for air. Looking miserable, Shao expertly briefed the emergency doctor. All my attention was on Zuo Fei, and I couldn't make out the details. I held Zuo Fei's hand tightly. My hands and feet were ice cold with panic, yet I couldn't do anything to help. That helplessness was unbearable. After the frantic rush, Zuo Fei was given an injection and fell asleep. Shao looked at me with a cold smirk. "Why don't you get lost? Maybe you're trending again." I didn't back down. "Don't trouble yourself over me. You're the one who should leave. Taking care of my fiancé is only natural." Shao retorted. "Fiancé? Will your family approve? And how much do you even know about Zuo Fei? Her dependence on you is just the suspension bridge effect. You insist on lying to yourself." He had struck close to home, and I became flustered and angry. I glared at him fiercely. I really wanted to hit him. Shao warned. "I suggest you calm down. This is a hospital. I don't care. But if you make the news, it'll hurt the song group's stock price." He was asking for a beating. My teeth itched with hatred, but when I saw the bruises on his face and the 2 missing buttons from his shirt, he looked utterly disheveled. I'd also had the upper hand in our fight, so some of my resentment faded. Though I didn't look much better myself, the emergency room was crowded, and we'd caused quite a scene. Some people were secretly staring at us. Others were discreetly recording video. They could probably imagine some grand rivalry between men. Logically, I should have stepped away from this mess. But he wanted me to leave and make room for him. No chance. I shoved Shao aside, pulled out Zuo Fei's phone, and showed him her emergency contacts. Sure enough, when he saw the word husband, his pupils contracted and his jaw clenched. I declared smugly, "So, when she was in that car accident, the hospital called me, and I will soon be her husband in name as well. The one she doesn't love is the interloper. Now get out." He shook his head with an unreadable expression. "You're still as full of yourself as ever." I snapped. "You know me. You don't know a damn thing." He said coldly, "I have no interest in knowing. If it weren't for Zuo Fei, I'd be happy never to see you again." I couldn't be bothered with him. I immediately arranged to transfer Zuo Fei to an upscale private hospital owned by the Song Group. But Shao suddenly spoke up. "Fine. Transfer her. But I'm coming with you." I frowned. What kind of joke is that? How can I let him exploit this opening? Shao insisted. "I have to go. I'm her attending physician. I know everything about her condition." I demanded. "Her attending physician? What illness does she have that she needs you to treat?" He gave a cold laugh. "All-powerful President Song. If you want to know, why don't you investigate it yourself? Or have you never had a shred of patience for Zuo Fei? All you do is take away her freedom, smother her talent, and make her suffer in the name of love, forcing her to sacrifice. Oh, and your ridiculous jealousy, too." He knew about my past with Zuo Fei. I realized Shao's relationship with Zuo Fei was far from simple, but instinct told me they weren't lovers. Shao undoubtedly liked Zuo Fei, but there wasn't even one photo of him in her album. They definitely weren't a couple. Then, what illness did Zuo Fei have? When I was with Zuo Fei back then, she was perfectly healthy. She had a full examination after the accident. Other than her injuries, she had no underlying condition. Once Zuo Fei was settled in our hospital, I felt much more at ease. Over an hour later, she woke up. I was on the phone with a friend then. A voice came through the line. "President Song, I found something on what you asked me to investigate." Shao is a medical oncologist specializing in gastrointestinal tumors. He works at Anderson Cancer Center. He returned to China 5 days ago. Zuo Fei had regained her memory. When I hung up and entered her room, Shao was holding Zuo Fei's hand. Zuo Fei looked at him with urgent trust. Her voice was hoarse, but urgent. "You didn't tell him, did you?" Shao let out a deep sigh. "Of course not. It's your private matter." Zuo Fei sighed in relief. "That's good." Shao asked again. "Are you going to keep it from him forever?" "Lately, you two seem to have been getting along well." Zuo Fei drew up her knees and lowered her head. Her voice carried a trace of self-blame. "It's all my fault. How could I have lost my memory? It's all my fault." I couldn't stand listening anymore. I threw open the door and stormed in, demanding harshly, "What the hell have you been hiding from me?" I never thought that one day I could speak calmly with Shao. I was frantic with worry, while he was infuriatingly elegant, slowly sipping his coffee. I urged him, "Hurry up. What exactly is wrong with Zuo Fei?" He rolled his eyes. "Nothing is wrong. She's healthy." I pressed him. "Then why is she connected to an oncologist like you?" He answered calmly, "Because she has up to an 80% chance of developing cancer." The moment he finished speaking, the room fell into dead silence. Before speaking with him, I told Zuo Fei firmly, "No matter what happens, I won't let go this time. As her fiancé, I have the right to know her secrets." Zuo Fei nodded at Shao. That was why Shao and I were having this conversation. I thought I would be terrified, but I was unexpectedly calm. It was as if I knew nothing could ever separate us. Instead, I felt relieved. Shao began to explain. Have you heard of Lynch syndrome? It is an inherited familial disorder. Women with it have up to an 80% lifetime risk of colorectal cancer and a 60% risk of endometrial cancer. The most frightening part is, this gene mutation is inherited in an autosomal dominant pattern. Even if the other parent is completely healthy, their children still have a 50% chance of inheriting it. He continued, and people with Lynch syndrome tend to develop cancer far earlier than most. Before precise genetic testing was available, doctors used the Amsterdam criteria to diagnose it. One requirement was developing the disease before age 40. I furrowed my brow tightly. I never knew a disease this cruel existed. It was like a ticking time bomb. A healthy person could be diagnosed with cancer at any moment. Zuo Fei's mother died of colorectal cancer. After her mother died, her father remarried. Zuo Fei was raised by her aunt. Her aunt was a graceful, beautiful woman. She never married. She used to like me very much. She gave her blessing to my relationship with Zuo Fei. During the 6 months when Zuo Fei and I fought constantly, Zuo Fei told me her aunt was sick. And what did I do? I just gave her a bank card and told her to spend it however she wanted. The power struggles of the company had me overwhelmed. Zuo Fei's refusal to yield also exhausted me. So, when her aunt was gravely ill, when Zuo Fei was so vulnerable and needed me so badly, her boyfriend, was completely absent. Shao's voice carried a hint of mockery. Zuo Fei's aunt had colorectal and endometrial cancer. When Zuo Fei brought her to Anderson, I was the doctor who saw her in gastrointestinal oncology. They had already undergone genetic testing back home. Unfortunately, even in the United States, even the world's best cancer center could do nothing to cure Lynch syndrome. All we could do was monitor her regularly. Once cancerous changes were found, we had to operate immediately. My heart pounded wildly. The answers connected into one clear line. So, while Zuo Fei and I were constantly fighting because of her aunt's illness, Zuo Fei discovered that she had Lynch syndrome. That was why she wanted to leave me. She accepted $2 million from Ms. Wu, broke up with me, and took her aunt to the United States for treatment. There, she met Shao. So, there was never another man. The only person I lost to was myself. I didn't know how I made it back to her room. Zuo Fei must have cried a great deal. One side of her pillow was soaked. Her eyelids were puffy. I gently touched her face. She opened her eyes sharply, like a startled fawn. Ignoring her protest, I squeezed onto the hospital bed. It was too narrow, so I had to hold her tight to keep from falling off. In a hoarse voice, I told her, I know everything, but I don't intend to forgive you. The woman in my arms instantly tensed. I continued, unless you make it up to me, spend the rest of your life making it up to me. And don't forgive me either. Give me the chance to make it up to you. Okay. She nodded in my arms. I asked softly, if you hadn't lost your memory in that accident, were you planning never to see me again? Without waiting for her answer, I went on. Silly girl, you underestimate me. Just wait and see how I punish you. Of course, marrying Zuo Fei brought plenty of resistance. Ms. Wu was the first obstacle, but no matter how furious she became, I remained perfectly unmoved. I'm informing you, not asking for your opinion. Use any tricks you like, but I'll return them tenfold. As for objections from the family or the other directors, I cared even less. Business people care about making money. If I let a little profit slip through my fingers, they'd fight each other for it. Gao Mingqi was somewhat melancholy. It wasn't that I didn't understand her feelings for me, but all I could offer was a successful partnership between our companies and rising stock prices. She was gracious about it. I successfully acquired Wanzhong Media. It was my gift to Zuo Fei, but Shao was the worst. I don't agree. He set down his knife and fork. He still wore that infuriatingly composed expression. The sight of him made me want to breathe fire. Zuo Fei gripped my hand tightly, afraid I'd flip the table in a rage. What right do you have to disagree? We're only informing you. So don't be the outsider meddling in someone else's relationship. That's not your call. He wiped his mouth with a napkin and looked at Zuo Fei. Are you really going to marry this childish brat? You're the childish one. Shao quickly steadied his wine glass. See, does that look like a mature man to you? If you ask me, you should come back to the United States with me. I was about to speak, but Zuo Fei gently interrupted me. Darling. I instantly fell silent. Zuo Fei raised her glass. She softly said to Shao, thank you, Shao. You are a very important friend to me. I'll never forget how much you helped me when I was helpless. I hope you'll be happy. Come back and visit often. Heh. A 24-shot fireworks display erupted in my heart. Shao curled his lip. I don't want the friend card. On the drive home, I was thrilled. I disliked him from the start. When we first met, he told me he was your boyfriend. What a liar. He really did play my boyfriend once. The brake shrieked. I stared at Zuo Fei in disbelief. I thought she'd wink and say she was kidding, but she looked a little sad. When my aunt was seriously ill, she kept asking me whether I'd fought with you. I didn't want her to worry, so I asked Shao for help. He said he was my new boyfriend. That's why I said Shao helped me so much. Not only did he give his all as a doctor, as a friend, he also helped me see my aunt through her final days. The fireworks in my heart burned out. There was only dead silence. I was mortified. I thought I'd cleared every obstacle, but I could never make up for the 2 years we'd lost. Thankfully, we still had a future. Shao, from now on, I won't give you another chance. After acquiring Wanzhong Media, the first thing I did was sponsor a competitive dance show. We invited entertainers with dance training and students from professional academies. It gave dreamers a first-rate platform. Zuo Fei was, of course, a judge. I ignored her refusal. Why wouldn't you be qualified? You won the Lotus Award. You have extensive stage experience. You've performed on over 1,000 tour dates. You're the only one for the job. You're abusing your power for personal gain, aren't you? So, what if I am? I want to see you shine. Aren't you petty? I hugged her from behind and gently swayed her. That's why I'm your boss. So I can keep you right where I can see you and put my mark on you. Let's see who dares covet you then. What a schemer. Actually, 2 years ago, this was exactly my plan. Sadly, we split up before I could make it happen. I never truly wanted you to give up dancing. I wanted to wait until the acquisition was complete, then plan out a safe career path for you. That would have put my mind at ease. And that competition and Lulu mentioned, as long as it doesn't affect the wedding, I support it. Zuo Fei was deeply moved. She turned and hugged me, whispering in my ear, "Honey, the world of classical dance had always been fiercely competitive." Wanzhong's dance show made a huge splash in the industry. The production team also invited several top stars with dance backgrounds. Its popularity was unprecedented. Even if you don't understand the art, who doesn't enjoy watching beautiful young men and women? As a judge, Zuo Fei's credentials looked dazzling on screen. Her critiques were professional, and she occasionally demonstrated herself. The live comments exploded. Wow, she's like a fairy. The judge outshines every contestant. Case closed. Zuo Fei is gorgeous. She should become a star. I want to see her every day. If she were my wife, I could die happy on the spot. Can someone find out if she's married? Online sleuths really could find anything. Someone actually dug up that trending post from months ago. No way. Isn't that Wanzhong's new president? Damn, we've got no chance. A talented man and a beautiful woman. Perfect match. Girl, you've got good taste. Song Siyuan is exactly my type. Wei Haoren lounged casually, clicking his tongue. The netizens want you to become a celebrity. Go on dating shows, then appear on parenting shows. Your image has gone from ruthless chief executive to the man behind a fairy. Isn't that nice? I only just realized how vain I can be. Before, I hated people staring at Zuo Fei. Even women looking at her too long bothered me. Not anymore. Now I want the whole world to see her beauty, and that one-of-a-kind beauty is mine. The show became a massive hit. The team asked whether we should strike while the iron was hot and book some other shows for my wife. But Zuo Fei refused. She said the dance show could help many students fulfill their dreams, and that was enough. Becoming a star was never her goal. She simply loved to dance. Next, she wanted to focus on preparing her solo. The day she won the competition, I was even more excited than she was. My gift was a ring to bind her to me for life. Our wedding was held in Bali. Romantic, warm, and unforgettable. 3 years later, Zuo Fei put all her performance plans on hold. She told me she wanted a child. Over those years, we had both deliberately avoided the subject of children. It wasn't that I'd never considered it. I, too, felt it would be a regret to have no children. It wasn't about passing down the company. I was simply curious what a child of mine and Zuo Fei's would be like. They would certainly be beautiful, but Lynch syndrome is hereditary. I knew that constant fear all too well. Over those 3 years, Zuo Fei had a full-body examination every 6 months, including invasive gastroscopies and colonoscopies and hysteroscopies. That way, any cancerous changes could be treated promptly before they progressed to a late stage and shortened her life. So, adding a child to that was more than I could bear. But Zuo Fei was determined. People with Lynch syndrome can still have children. They just need preimplantation genetic testing through in vitro fertilization. Once the embryos are created, they undergo comprehensive genetic screening, and healthy, unaffected embryos are implanted, preventing inheritance of the condition. I refused. In vitro fertilization is too hard on a woman. I couldn't make her suffer through that. I'd rather never have children. Again and again, she firmly emphasized, "I'm not having a child for you. You're cooperating with me. I'm the one who wants this." I wouldn't budge. Why do we have to have a little brat? It'll ruin our time alone together. You perform so often. You already have so little time for me, and you'd have to give half of it to someone else. No, grow up a little. It's not someone else. It's our child. No one gets to take you from me. You don't agree? Fine. I'll have Shao contact a sperm bank for me. I'll choose a handsome blonde, blue-eyed man, and have a mixed-race baby. My eyes widened in shock. In the end, my resistance was futile. Actually, I spoke to Shao about it. He put on his expert's face. I support Zuo Fei. If she wants a child, she's the right age now. But in vitro fertilization is grueling. It's manageable. The technology is well established. Besides, you need to consider this. Lynch syndrome carries a high risk of endometrial cancer. If, heaven forbid, she loses her uterus, she may lose her chance to have a child. So, I support Zuo Fei. All these years, whenever I thought she might get sick, fear would chill me to the bone. Alright, I gave her what she wanted. We would have a healthy child. One round of in vitro fertilization gave us 8 embryos. After genetic screening, 2 embryos were completely healthy. The transfer succeeded. Zuo Fei was pregnant with twins. After 9 nerve-wracking months, our babies were born. In that moment, my life was complete. I thanked that car accident for bringing her back to me. For the rest of my life, I wished only for my wife and children to be healthy and happy forever. A little over half a month after the accident, fragments often flashed through my mind. Sometimes they were still images. Sometimes they were snippets of conversation. They came in fragments, never quite clear. The man by my side, they all said he was my husband, but the way he looked at me was sometimes tender, sometimes angry, and sometimes utterly confused. In my fragmented memories, he appeared often too. Sometimes he held me tenderly. Other times he roared at me in anger. I was so confused, but I didn't dare ask him. I instinctively knew he was important to me. To help restore my memory, the medical staff brought me magazines and an iPad to look through. By chance, I saw my husband in a news story, but he actually had a fiancée. How could that be? After he brought me home, he wouldn't even sleep beside me. Back at the hospital, he'd been so gentle with me, caring for me in every way. The staff and other patients all said I was lucky to have a husband who loved me so much. More and more memories came back. I knew clearly that I loved him. If he wouldn't come to me, then I'd go to him. I managed to sleep in his arms. I was so happy, but he behaved himself. He made no further move. Why? Didn't he like me? Or did he like the woman in that magazine? I wanted to shake him awake and ask why. I didn't sleep all night. Meanwhile, he slept soundly. Maybe I really wasn't attractive to him. During the day, he took me shopping. I was so happy. Unfortunately, we ran into an awful woman. She seemed very familiar with him and spoke rudely. When we got home, I couldn't stop myself from kissing him. He was clearly moved. I could feel it. Yet he still avoided me. Not a chance. I was going to make him face me properly. I was amazing. I even impressed myself. I kissed him until he had no choice but to respond. He even warned me not to regret it, as if I'd regret it. Sure enough, physical intimacy brought our hearts closer too. I could feel him take 3 steps forward, then 2 steps back. Still, things were getting better, but I never expected our photos to become a trending topic. Now everyone could see us. Our true relationship was practically obvious. He was terrifying that day. He suddenly pressed me. What the hell were you doing out there? I'd only been sitting downstairs, thinking for a long time. Even though more fragments returned, I still couldn't piece together the whole story. But I knew he definitely cared about me. To my surprise, he told me calmly, "We aren't married. We broke up 2 years ago." It hurt so much. I'd known all along, but hearing him say it himself was unbearable. Because of that, we began living separately. He took me to his office. I was so happy. I could watch him at work. He had to be so handsome. But while he was in a meeting, his friend came to see me. She suddenly covered her mouth, crying out inwardly, "Oh my God, what have I done?" He told me that I had betrayed Siyuan. I'd been with another man. When I left, Siyuan had been devastated. He drank himself numb every day. I shouldn't have come back. I would only bring him pain. Hearing his accusations, I wavered. There wasn't a trace of another man in my memories. But if I'd truly been that awful, then I had no right to keep all his kindness for myself. I told Siyuan I was leaving. He suddenly lost his temper. His voice was thick with suppressed anger. He demanded, his voice full of resentment and confusion. What was this past month supposed to mean? Yes, what did it mean? For more than a month, I treated him as my husband, even though I knew he wasn't. I wanted to steal him back to my side, to keep him all to myself. Living apart felt awful. I couldn't sleep every night. Whenever I couldn't sleep, I'd force myself to remember. Sometimes something came back. Sometimes nothing did. Lulu called me, reminding me about a competition. I vaguely remembered it, but suddenly it didn't seem important. What competition? I was about to lose my husband. But that day, Siyuan actually claimed me as his. He said he wanted to marry me. I was so happy I could have gone crazy, but I didn't dare show it too clearly. I could only be secretly happy, but I never expected Shao to come see me. The moment he spoke to me, I remembered him. When he and Siyuan fought, I was frantic, but at the same time, my sealed memories seemed to split open. My past came rushing back like a torrent of spring water. I remembered how Siyuan and I broke up. I remembered my aunt, terminally ill, reduced to skin and bones, whom every effort had failed to save. I remembered my illness. I would get cancer. I could die young. I might not even be able to have healthy children. What would happen to Song Siyuan? So this happiness had all been stolen. I didn't deserve any of it. I broke down. I really shouldn't have drawn Song Siyuan back in. I shouldn't have. When I woke up, Shao was beside me. He told me that hiding the truth was selfish too. Song Siyuan deserved to make his own choice. Song Siyuan knew now. The secret I least wanted him to know. If he accepted me, I'd feel I was wronging him. If he didn't and left, I couldn't bear that either. So, 2 years ago, I chose to leave first. I was the selfish one, the coward. He squeezed onto my narrow hospital bed and held me. He told me to make it up to him for the rest of my life. He even said he would punish me. Tears streamed down my face. To stay by his side forever was all I had ever wanted. We would be happy. I would do everything I could to make him happy. Though we couldn't prevent illness, we could detect it early and treat it early. Shao said, I still had a chance of living as long as anyone else. Please, Heaven, please grant me this. Our days became peaceful and sweet. I began to get greedy. I wanted a child. I knew Song Siyuan wanted one too, but he worried about me. Honestly, what did a little pain matter? I wasn't doing it for him at all. I was doing it for myself. I wanted a child who looked like him so badly, preferably a boy. Then, like in a life simulation game, I could watch a tiny Song Siyuan grow up little by little. Unexpectedly, heaven loved me so much, giving me a little Siyuan and a little Zuo Fei. The day I gave birth, Song Siyuan cried, "What a fool." Later, I asked him what we should name the children. He answered, the girl will be called Zuo Muyuan. The boy will be called Song Lian Fei. They sound so beautiful, but that is far too obvious. Let's use homophones instead. The girl will be called Zuo Muyuan. The boy will be called Song Lian Fei. I have never regretted loving you. May happiness follow us